Hey everyone, welcome to this week's recap podcast for SNXweave. If you're a new listener, SNXweave is a grants-style initiative to improve communication and transparency across the synthetics ecosystem. We'll be giving quick weekly recaps of news and important updates from the Spartan Council and core contributors. With the end of the epic now just a few weeks away, we're going to be hosting panel interviews with current Spartan Council members as well as select Spartan Council candidates. This way, we'll have a chance to hear more about their individual outlooks, voting trajectories, debating arguments, and overall values in order to help support well-informed voting around election time. In today's weekly recap episode, we're going to be discussing the status of several SIPs and some updates on the Quenta independence proposal. So let's get started. Starting off with the deprecation of the SDAO, since its approval last week, Jordan has been working with Andy to get the voting process set up for the Treasury Council, so we should hopefully hear some updates soon. On that note, the Core Contributor Committee proposal is still in draft. However, Jordan says there has been significant internal progress on this SIP. In other news, SIP 180 to establish the ALIN protocol was proposed this past week. Kane says there is still some work to be done and that he is waiting on some additional feedback, but that he's aiming to have it presented soon. For those who are unfamiliar, ALIN is an open and permissionless set of factory contracts that enables anyone to instantiate a pool of capital that can be used to source deals within the Ethereum ecosystem. This SIP aims to leverage the decentralized governance framework of Synthetics in order to transparently launch this new protocol. If approved, SNX stakers will receive a portion of ALIN tokens as a sign of appreciation for the effort that has gone into Synthetics governance, enabling ALIN to launch. Next up is futures, which continues to be a major focus for the core contributors. Jackson says testing for synthetic futures is going well. The first alpha phase that's been deployed on Kovan OVM is really helping with internal testing and in making sure things like the liquidation mechanism work as intended. He noted that they're looking to improve the funding rate model, and they've been doing some R&D with Crypto Econ to update the model for the futures funding rate. Once the DApp is improved and any possible issues have been fixed, the plan is to have an initial incentivized testnet open to the public on Kovan OVM. So this SIP is still in feasibility for now. Also in feasibility this week is SIP 171 to allow transfers of non-fee reclamation balances. Justin has been reviewing this SIP and is in contact with Andre as they clarify and finalize a few elements. He hopes to present it next week. Additionally, since the Atomic Exchange Function's approval last week, Brett has added some contract addresses to the SIP. However, the Council deemed these changes minimal and not significant enough to require an additional vote. SIP 120 is now in audit, so we should hear some more progress towards development soon. Also sitting in approved this week is SIP 135 for L2 shorting. Mark says this SIP is being audited right now, and that there hopefully won't be any contract changes necessary, depending on the feedback received from the audit. So this week, 135 is just being cleaned up a bit, with hopes of getting it primed for release in the next couple of weeks. Mark is also working with the Quenta team on the front-end integration for L2. Speaking of Quenta, SIP 179, proposing that Quenta become an independent protocol, was presented to the Council this week by Andrew. This SIP will formally enable Quenta to have its own governance system, its own token, and its own community framework. The motivation behind this SIP is to enable the synthetics trading experience to move beyond a simple front end for synthetics. Up until now, Quenta has been managed from within by the synthetics core contributors, which is more of an infrastructure provider rather than a customer-facing product. The transition to move to a fully independent project will enable Quenta to drive its own community governance while also getting the focus it needs to produce a product that meets user demand. If approved, there will be two follow-up SIPs, 177 and 178, which will involve an open ballot box where anyone in the community can sign up to become an interim council member or Quenta Treasury DAO member. The Spartan Council will then choose the most qualified candidates from that list. Andrew is hoping to have this list of candidates up within a week of SIP 179 being approved, during which time he will create the ballot box for anyone to nominate themselves. An interim council member will not be restricted from running again for the first proper council. At the end of the presentation, Daniel articulated that before voting on this SIP, he would like to see the amount of Quenta tokens that will be distributed to current SNX stakers explicitly specified in the proposal. This is still being decided. And that's it for today's updates. Be sure to check out our weekly blog post, share this podcast link, and let us know what you think and what you'd like to hear more about from SNXweave. Thanks for listening.